How's it going, everybody? We got some more Magic today with the new Duskmourn set. I am playing an Orzhov Tokens deck that utilizes the Dollmaker shop and Porcelain Gallery. This is probably my new favorite card so far from this set, so I've already made like 3 or 4 different decks from it playing around with it. But Orzhov's what I've settled on as my favorite way to play it. I've made a Boros one and a mono white one, and I've seen another couple of YouTubers doing some mono white. You can play around with it a lot. Most of these cards aren't new, but I do have the White Overlord, the Overlord of the Mistmoors, which has Impending, which is really fantastic. You get the 2/1 flying tokens if you play it with Impending. If you get to attack with the Overlord, it also creates those insects as well. And then we've got, like I said, the Dollmaker shop and Porcelain Gallery. Dollmaker shop is a 2-drop on that side. Whenever you attack with a non-toy creature you control, attack a player specifically, though. If you attack a planeswalker or something like that, it doesn't count. But if you attack a player with a non-toy creature, you create a 1/1 white toy artifact creature, the little token you see on the right there. And then Porcelain Gallery, creatures you control have base power and toughness, each equal to the number of creatures you control. So, the only creature in this deck is the Overlord of the Mistmoors, so it's the only one that could potentially be negatively impacted by the Porcelain Gallery, because it will drop the base power and toughness of bigger things that you have if you have less creatures on the battlefield, if you're playing like an extremely removal-heavy opponent. We do have, however, though, the Virtue of Loyalty tokens, which come out as 2/2s. With Vigilance, you can play them at instant speed. We have Sunfall, which can create the Incubator tokens. We have Kaya Spirit's Justice. It is a really nice 1/1 generator that has flying. I feel that it has a bit more utility than just playing Archangel Elspeth, because that's also another alternative option that you could do. It's what I've done in my Boros and Mono White versions of this deck. However, the utility that you get from this Kaya is just a little bit more useful, in my opinion, than the Archangel. Creating the flyers, you can do that either way. With Kaya, your 1/1s are flyers. With Archangel Elspeth, you get 1/1s with lifelink that you can -2 and make them 3/3 flyers. So it just seemed like it was a little bit easier to get like a flying blocker this way. Not to mention, you have a removal outlet with Kaya's -2, which is the way that that's kind of why I prioritize this one over Elspeth, is if they have something really annoying that you need to get rid of, tramplers and stuff especially, then you can -2, get rid of one of your little 1/1 doll tokens, or even maybe like a Mirix token that can't block, which I've done, or Phyrexian Might, and then just exile their annoying threat, and you don't really lose anything in that trade except for some loyalty. Not to mention, she has the ability to potentially transform one of your tokens into one of your opponent's exiled creatures, one of the creatures you have exiled, I mean. And that can be pretty great too. Not to mention, her +2 gives you the ability to exile things from graveyards. So if you're playing a particularly annoying Reanimator deck, which is totally viable right now in black-white or even green, black-green, you can use Kaya's +2 to start eating away at the opponent's graveyard. So it seemed much more viable than most other cards right now. We've got the obvious stuff. We've got Carrot Cake, which can help you gain some life back if you're playing against aggro decks and need to stabilize early. You've got Caretaker's Talent with all the tokens that we generate. It's a great card draw engine, obviously, not to mention it can give +2/+2 to all of your token creatures, which is extremely relevant in this deck. This is a token deck, so this card is pretty amazing. I do have 4 of it. I could run it as a 4 of, but removal's pretty important in this too, especially with mono red as popular as it is right now with the new Leyline deck. I do have Withering Torment, another new card. It is a pay 3, destroy target creature or enchantment and lose 2 life. I'm just playing around with it in this deck to try it out. Enchantments are extremely relevant. You could just run more Get Lost, which also hits enchantments, but I don't like giving my opponent map tokens, so I just thought I would try this and enjoy it a little bit, see how I like it, because I'm probably going to be using it in a lot of black decks. We've got the standard removal package with some cut downs and go for the throats. Again, this comes down to, for one, cut down is really relevant in that mono red matchup for having something turn 1 that you can do to those creatures. I have fought people playing the new mono red deck that you blow up their creature on your first turn, or their first turn if you go first, and they'll just scoop because they don't have more than 1 creature and they're just planning on doubling their buff spells with that ley line. So cut down's pretty huge. Go for the throat. Again, you could run more Get Lost, but Go for the Throat doesn't give them any map tokens, which can be relevant. Get Lost, obviously really nice. Probably your best removal in any white deck right now, because it gets rid of creatures, it gets rid of enchantments, it gets rid of planeswalkers. Notably, it does not get rid of artifacts. I don't really have any particular artifact hate in this deck, which is a little annoying. I don't know what card I would use for it in black-white. In red, I'd probably use Brotherhood's End, but or a Braid even. But without any specific artifact hate, you do run into some annoyances with things like Urbresk's Forge, but it hasn't been too much of an issue so far because we can kind of get huge if things aren't just removed completely. But and then we also have case of the Gateway Express. Since this is a token generator deck, if I'm allowed to just sit and make a whole bunch of little creatures, which is pretty easily done, then this can be a huge creature removal. That aside, it can also give all of your creatures +1/+0 if you manage to solve it by attacking with 3 or more creatures, which isn't terribly difficult to do. It does take some turns to do, so if you're playing this on like turn 2, which would be weird, I guess you could do it just to get it set up early if you needed only potentially like 1 Crawling Chorus out and this to blow up a creature that's blocking, but I don't know that that's entirely relevant all the time, and most opponents aren't going to have really good 1/1s or 2/1s that you're going to want to blow up. There is, I guess, a 3/1 that I can think of in these new cards, but and then anyway, our land, nothing too crazy. You've got Cabaret Courtyard, Concealed Courtyard, we've got Restless Fortress, Caves of Koilos, Fabled Passage. I've got it as a 2 of in here so that we don't have to run a ton of land, though I do wonder if running, I've got 25 in this if I'm not mistaken, but 26 may still be a good bump up to if you want. But yeah, I got just a couple of Fabled Passage to kind of help us get into our land without having to play more land. It helps us kind of thin it out a little bit. And then I've got some Fountain Ports, as this is a token deck. This can be extremely relevant. Just being able to create those blue fish tokens if you're getting all of your stuff wiped can be huge. The treasure token hasn't been terribly relevant to me, but it could be. You could make a treasure token to trigger your Caretaker's Talent, different things. Or if you're just needing it 1 extra mana to unlock the second room on your Porcelain Gallery, that could matter too. So, really good. So far, I've played this deck a lot yesterday because this is day 2 of Duskmourn's full release. So I tested this out quite a bit yesterday and refined it at least a little bit. I'm still open to suggestions in the comments if you have any ideas for cards that would be good in this that I didn't consider or mention in this. But let's go ahead and get into some games. I don't know how many I'm going to play. I'm not going to bother with ranked right now, but this deck's a lot of fun. And I wanted to show it off to everybody because I haven't seen anybody doing this. I've seen like a mono white, like I said, but I really liked it in Orzhov. Alright, opponent goes first, which is a little unfortunate. We've certainly got some good stuff here to set up with, though. They're playing black, so I probably don't feel bad about throwing down a Restless Fortress on turn 1. Go with the Courtyard. What do I want to do here? I think safest bet is just go for a cut down while it's still our turn and pass. Go here, and then pass, probably use a Go for the Throat. Okay, now we'll untap Shield, and go for this. 4 mana, we're going to go here. The Overlord itself is relatively safe. It can't be targeted with any kind of removal except for potentially the Withering Torment I had here in black while it's an enchantment. So right now, pretty safe. I'm going to go ahead and set up Dollmakers. Still got 2 mana. I may just hold up a Go for the Throat. Yep, that's fine. If he kills the other one, it'll be a little bit annoying, and I may go for like a Carrot Cake. Yeah, okay, so he's killing both, so I'm gonna go for Carrot Cake now. I could go with the Crawling Chorus, but I don't have anything else that I could do after that, so this is just a bit more mana efficient. I don't really want a Crawling Chorus right now, so... Don't care much about that. Let's see, what do we want to do here? I think another Carrot Cake, hold up, Go for the Throat is probably the answer I want here. I will take a land, because we need to get the land to open up our Porcelain Gallery. And we've still got mana for Go for the Throat, or we could pop one of the Carrot Cakes at the next turn. At this point, I'm okay with playing a couple of these Crawling Chorus. He could go for a board wipe. He doesn't have exile options like Sunfall because he's playing mono black. So if he went for a board wipe, I would still keep the Phyrexian tokens. That's not... okay. That wasn't necessary because it was a 1-1, but okay. Now we have our Overlord out, which he could kill. It's kind of not important if he does at this point, though. Yep, there's the Deadly Cover-Up. We'll see what he decides to get rid of. Probably the Overlord. Okay. Man, it's a little disappointing because it's fun to play with, but also not a huge deal. And I do still have my Phyrexian Mites, which is why I was saying that they were worthwhile. I will get myself a Carrot Cake token as well. And it's a land, so I'll go Porcelain Gallery on this next turn. They're all going to be 4/4s. Alright, first win, little Orzhov Tokens. Porcelain Gallery is huge, like I was saying. This card is what this whole deck was built around. I saw this in the pre-release and I was like, oh, I love that card and need it. So, first thing I did was start building decks around it, and I like it in Orzhov. I'm usually more of like a mono black or a Rakdos player, so for me, splashing black into this deck is kind of a no-brainer. And really, it's the removal package. The black splash is more for the removal than anything. Get Lost is obviously a really powerful card, and I recommend it for anybody running any kind of a white deck right now. But those map tokens can be relevant and can give you the opportunity to lose because of your opponent being able to get big. Especially if you're using Get Lost in a deck that isn't primarily like control. Which this is kind of like a token control deck. I've got Sunfalls and stuff in it too, but I didn't want to go too hard into that direction. So, and then obviously also, like I said, Kaya I think is just a little bit stronger than Archangel Elspeth in this type of a deck. That's kind of just my preference, but unfortunately we did lose our Overlord of the Mistmoors to a Deadly Cover-Up, but it did a lot of work before then with the 2/1 flyers, and then it finally coming out, it kind of forced his hand. That was why, like I said, I played the Crawling Chorus when I did, so that I could get these tokens on the backswing, and holding up the mana as long as I did for these Carrot Cakes. That's what you want to use them for. If you believe your opponent's going to board wipe in some way, if you think it's going to be a Sunfall or a Deadly Cover-Up like that, or even there are some other options, the Eclipse card, or like Choking Miasma, something like that, then you can just hold back the artifacts and pop them after the board wipe. If it's going to be a temporary lockdown, then it will steal your artifacts as well. So in that case, if you really believe that your opponent's going to be on some kind of temporary lockdown, then don't play them yet. But anyway, game 1, easy win. No black land here makes this pretty scary, but we're on the draw. I think I'll keep it because most of the deck is white anyway. Resolved that issue quite nicely. Okay. We do still have a creature in case we draw Dollmakers, which is nice. Unless he kills it too, but it is an artifact, so go for the throat won't work. Okay, let's go ahead and just go for Carrot Cake then. I don't really want that. It's not a bad card, even in this, especially in this kind of a deck where you're playing tokens, but it is probably my least favorite card in the deck. Okay, so we have a creature on the opponent's end. I mean, I'm fine with go for the Throat Crawling Chorus, personally. We do have a poison outlet here with all these Crawling Choruses. That being the case, I'm not terribly bothered by it. I'm just going to go here and pass. Can potentially kill it if we want to block with our flyers. I don't know if we do want to, but I'll think about it. Yeah, I'm gonna let it through. I don't care about 2 damage. Not at the moment. Do I want to kill that? I think I'm just gonna hold off, play another one of these, get the flyers going. Honestly, attacking with everything doesn't bother me too much here either. It's fine. He's more afraid of the poison than anything, which is fair. Gets another 1/1 blocker. I don't care about the 2 damage. What we got here? Fabled Passage? I live with that. Let's go get a swamp. For now, I'm just going to attack with the flyers. I'll hold up my Go for the Throat and my Fountain Port for options. Next turn, one of the Overlords will be back, because the 1 counter will go away and it'll end up on field at end step. Totally fine with that still. Nothing at the end of turn, huh? go ahead and pop this, just because he hasn't done anything else. Does keep me from doing anything with the Fountain Port, but that's fine. Virtue of Loyalty is pretty relevant. We've only got 6, so I'm not going to make the token, but I am going to go ahead and do this. Pretty sure we win here. Didn't get anything but land, which is pretty sad, but we'll go ahead and get another swamp. Alright, so second win was, again, a pretty easy one. Looked like our opponent had some mana issues for a while there, which is unfortunate. I definitely know what that's like. We were getting a little bit flooded, but having these overlords was just totally overwhelming, and having this virtue come up means that all of these are going to become impossibly strong. And the opponent just had no answers here. I could just fly over with these 3/3s and win at this point. So, pretty good showcase of why the Overlord of the Mistmoors is so devastating. They did eventually blow up the one that did animate, but the animated one wasn't the threat. It was the fact that I could play these on turn 4 or what have you and get 2/1 flyers that also act as good blockers if I want to block something with 4 toughness or something potentially. I had the option of killing his Preacher a lot earlier than I did because of those, but didn't take it just because it wasn't a big threat. Being attacked for 2, when all it's doing is creating the 1/1 lifelinkers, was fine. If it would have given him the opportunity to card draw, I probably would have used Go for the Throat or the blockers to get rid of the Preacher earlier, but since that wasn't the threat, I just didn't mind getting pinged for 2 here or there. Didn't really matter, and he was more worried about the poison than the damage, but once I started playing these overlords, poison was no longer the main means of me winning. Alright, I'm going first, which is pretty fun, and we've got at least a couple of land. We'll give it a shot. Wish we had a Dollmaker shop, and hopefully we draw land, so. Chorus into Dollmaker shop's the nicest curve, though. And then having Caretakers right after. Did get a land. Very happy. Probably gonna play the Virtue and blow out the skeleton. Unless he kills it, which is totally possible. Genuinely, though, he lost more than I did in that exchange. Probably going to be Caretakers this turn. Sunfall's really nice, especially with the way things are going. If we can get enough mana up to play it, then we can eat all of his skeletons he's going for. There's the corpses. Did get another land. So I think I'm gonna go this. Lets me draw a card, and then I'll go here. Blows that up. We have some Go for the Throats to hold us off until we get to our Sunfall, so that's what I'm going to be aiming for. He can play that if he wants, I don't really care. I'm really just looking for a land here. That sucks, but now we really need the land. And we got it. So, this makes me feel much better. No descend triggers means he can't get his corpse back. Drawing nothing but land is kind of disappointing for me. But we do have a 7/7 artifact. He has the Shoot the Sheriff. That's pretty surprising. Doing this on my turn means that he does not get the Descend trigger. Okay, and now he can bring corpse back to his hand because he did that one on this turn. I'm at 2, so I probably lose here. I'm about to be at 1. I would actually really like some carrot cakes here. I think that I agree that was his best course of action there. Really hoping for some carrot cakes at this point, though. Because I need to heal. Being on 1 is not okay. I can't create another fish, unfortunately, at the moment. Okay, yeah, he's got me because he has 2 creatures. So, sad loss there. Almost looked like we were stabilizing. We really needed some carrot cakes to start healing some more. Looks pretty usable. Maybe not amazing, but we're going first and have a go or a cut down. So if we're up against anything aggressive, it's pretty helpful. Not aggressive, but that's not a bad thing necessarily either. Go for a carrot cake. I will take a Fabled Passage. Would like some other stuff, but the land is so nice in this deck, actually. So at this point, I'm gonna go Fountain Port and attack. Just hold up options for the opponent's turn, whether it be a cut down, carrot cake. It's like they're doing nothing, so let's go carrot cake. I do want that. We need double white, so I'll go ahead and play the plains now. just so I don't hurt myself with the caves. We'll be going for a swamp with the Fabled Passage, so... Now, green does have pretty good enchantment removal, things like Tear Asunder, so he could get rid of the Overlord if he wants to, but it's also just sitting there doing nothing for several turns, so if he gets rid of it now, there's not a huge benefit to it. If he plays a Choking Miasma, that's a really good option. I'm not terribly bothered by it. I'm just going to start going for Kaya. Still keeps me a cut down open on the off chance I need it. Less likely at this point, but we can start generating more tokens very quickly. It's got a Shieldred. We'll just kill it on our turn start. And they scoop. So, easy win. I don't really know what they were going for. They took a long time to kind of do nothing. The Choking Miasma was a really good card against our deck, and is a really good card in Golgari to begin with.